I need to precede this by saying the old adage, there's no need to be weak, but it takes courage to show vulnerability. And when you open the can of worms and talk about things that didn't go the way they planned out, I think that's the courage for showing vulnerability. And I believe that's what you're going to talk about, Ville, which is imagine a project organization going product-oriented and what can happen. So let's get going with that.
Thank you. That was quite a spoiler about my agenda for today. So first of all, ladies and gentlemen and other genders and people participating online, so great to be here. Thank you for tuning in. And of course, Eficode for having me here. Although I didn't have much of a choice because Markku was pestering me for 3 years to come here. I saw my name listed under the experts of product development and come hear them. You have been lied to. Sorry, I'm not one of the product development experts. So instead, I'm here to tell you what happens when children start to do product development, I suppose there's also a few words of encouragement hidden somewhere in my presentation. But let's start by saying a few words about the company because it's kind of relevant to what I'm supposed to be presenting in the next slides. Fellowmind, what I do for a living is I run our Finnish and Polish businesses. You might recognize either me or the stuff or the company by another brand name, which was eCraft. So before my, this gig, I was the CEO of eCraft, and then we sold the company to Efficient Capital / Fellowmind, and tada. Fellowmind, what we do is we dabble with Microsoft Business Solutions mostly. Of course, a bit of software development and analytics and that kind of things. And those are especially big in Finland, actually. Also, I'm kind of proud that the Fellowmind kind of strategy is very much influenced by everything that we are doing in Finland and what we did before the acquisition. So the idea is to create kind of, somebody was talking about holistic. Everybody was talking about holistic at some point, and then we kind of stopped doing that and started to talk about connected companies. And what we want to do is to bundle together all of our knowledge about different kind of business solutions and usability and those kind of things together for our customers to create those connected companies. And our customers are usually struggling about one hand not knowing what the other one is doing and that kind of things. But let's go to my agenda of today. So. This isn't too academic, by the way. I don't read any business books ever. So you probably could find better ways of describing this. But what I chose is in our world, and this is, by the way, all Finnish organization. We are now 420 people, professional services, as you might have guessed, and so on and so forth. But this is what we did around product development throughout the last decade, probably. So there are a couple of examples that I'm going to be talking about. Some are closer to projects, which is, where do we get money from? And then products is the other side of this, is where we lose money. And then I also did this kind of, because it also explains a bit how do we think and what kind of animals we are, because the nerdiness is a big thing. So we do things just out of it being cool, and so some things are more the cool side, some actually are business in a sense, and some things are maybe there to just give us competitive edge. So these are the. Let's go forward. Sproodle, my very first, and the presentation, I suppose it actually goes forward chronologically, meaning that this was the oldest one, and this was the time when we did everything that we could to turn the company into product company. And it's an ancient thing, like probably 10 years ago. I was thinking that I can probably find the logo on Google because we did such a big impact in the world that it's somewhere still there in the ether, and I Googled it. And this new trend of dog people trying to breed poodles with everything. So I suppose this was one of those. So Sproodle actually exists. Instead of finding the logo, I found 3 pages full of pictures of dogs. And by the way, I'm very glad I did this because we own the trademark and domains for Sproodle, so maybe I can get some moonlighting business out of this, selling this to dog people. So, as I already hinted, this is what we did. We kind of. This was a very first attempt to really make a product out of the project organization, and what we did is dedicated a team, created organizations on P&Ls for this, hired some consultants to help with us, to create the products, to create value-based models here, and we trademarked and protected everything that we could because it's such a huge IPR, and did everything by the book. So big talks and about the epics and themes that we wanted to do there, tested this on customers and whatnot. And what the product was by the way, I'm surprised that this doesn't look as ugly as I thought, because the old thing usually looks really fugly. So the thing was that when you entered your innovations, ideas, that kind of things, there was a lot of algorithms that found out the similarities between those and created associations between them, and it sounded like a pretty cool thing. Also, kind of sounded like a catering company would start to also sell cars, which is exactly what it was. So us being business system consultants, this created, a need for us to also be innovation consultants, which is not the same thing. But yeah, this is what we did. And the learnings. So the dream was to, of course, transform the company into a product company. Also, we had like really big plans on. And by the way, back then, 10 million sounded like a big chunk of money. And since we could do this just by not doing any work, it would mean that our EBITDA would be plus 50%. And of course, go international and those kind of things. And as you might have guessed, none of this actually happened. So we did a lot of loss on product development. We deployed a few instances of this Sproodle, and we found out that even though like literally all the companies in Finland were interested in hearing us out, none of them felt that this was kind of vital enough for them to really go into any kind of value-based things, and so yeah, that didn't work. So if I had to put, of course it was a tech demo, so nice. Also the access to companies, that was also nice. What was not nice at all was that it was so far away from our kind of usual stuff that so many people felt that they were left out of the core of the company vision, and these kind of soft things are going to be repeating in my presentation. So here we did not succeed on that side either. So the next one, my personal favorite, and which actually ended up having a business impact as well, was Go. We first called it Go 365, but then our dear friend Microsoft told us not to do that because Office 365 was a thing back then, but none of the other 365s weren't. And anyway, so it was called Go. This time we were in a bit of a pitch, because the company was not doing well. We were one of the gray elephants of our industry, and we won cases by being cheaper or just somebody liking us more or whatever. And the company was divided into silos. So you had different silos for analytics and ERP guys and CRM guys and software developers and whatnot. And we were kind of struggling on how do we show people that it kind of makes sense for them to be in one company? And also, of course, to show this to our customers. And I could even say that we were probably quite close to bankruptcy at this point. Also, this is roughly when I inherited my position as the CEO. And this was basically what we started doing. And so we created something that would bundle together everything that we have, and that would kind of work as an internal demo, also of course external demo of what we can do. But then we went all in with the business model. So instead of selling anything on our own, we started to think about, hey, let's find resellers for this IP and create a whole process for that. Of course, we were lucky enough that Microsoft would also participate into this, so there were dedicated people at Microsoft working with us, and a lot of marketing money around this and that. And the first bullet is the most important one. This was, by the way, a lot of fun. So we searched for the roadmaps all around the world, and this was very important for our organization as well. We had been struggling, and so it should never be kind of forgotten about that part of when you're doing things. This is what it looked like. So all boring business applications bundled together, and there was a way of switching between them, and then you had additional things there and whatnot. I don't know if we signed all of these resellers, but I found a slide. Probably we did. So there was a lot of other companies involved with this, and we didn't stop there. We also wanted to go international, and we had a process of when do we go to another market, what happens, and that kind of things. So let's go to learnings. Of course, the idea was to kind of extend the capabilities of the technology. Microsoft, is operating with a segment of larger companies than what we were aiming at with this. So the idea was to kind of extend that. Also, of course, take the Finnish SMB market by storm, and already explained about, what would this mean for our people. Then all of those resellers, we found something for them, and then we were thinking about numbers once again, and of course selling this to our owners as this going to be a commercial powerhouse of the future. And not much happened. We did succeed in showing our people how does this whole thing work together. Why is there a benefit of having the same data in CRM and ERP and whatnot, and that kind of things. funny thing happened here was that we didn't get the business from the SMBs that we thought, but larger companies were really kind of interested in hearing our story because they just wanted somebody to think about this differently than everybody else in the market. So we got a lot of pull from bigger companies, weirdly, of course, we lost a lot of money, and also, funnily, Microsoft launched their product, which basically did the same thing just a few months after we were on the top of our game, and which made this, pretty much obsolete completely. But there's the softer side. So yeah, the tech got to become obsolete, but the learnings and the thinking did not. So this was a kind of a great way of our people to learn, different concepts and way of thinking this. Not something that we expected. Third one, property valuator. This was when, and by the way, now you're already seeing that I'm not here to sell any of our products. So, so it's, let's say they are at the end of their lifespan. So, property valuator. It was our biggest project around AI. So we decided that we need to do a step up in our analytics. AI is going to be the shit of the tomorrow, and then we need to hire a lot of people around this, and those AI projects. They tended to be quite small, so they were more like Finnish companies wanting to dabble with new tech and kind of proof of concept kind of things. And even though they worked, they still were quite small things. And we wanted to have something a bit bigger that people can focus on, and this was what we came up with. Of course, the impact that we wanted to do in the talent market was also a big part of this. So we wanted to show the world that we are really good at AI-related things. And what it was is, something like this, where we were estimating the price changes of properties in Finland, and this is still used by many companies, and probably not called property valuator anywhere, but it still lives on somewhere. And it was pretty good. It was much better actually than any of the other models that we saw, and so it kind of definitely proved the point of AI having a place in world. Although I have to admit that we thought AI to be an offering, but to me personally, it feels like it's something like bulk thing. It's not something that wizards do in their ivory towers. It's something that should be kind of inside products and doing small things, and you should probably be selling AI. You should be selling the impact that it does. Those, additional thoughts on the topic. But yeah, the dream was to get to a new market segment, meaning that our company, our biggest industries are manufacturing and energy and services, professional services, those kind of things. And this was basically our attempt to get to financial sector and insurance companies and whatnot. Then, of course, to have that thought leadership around AI, new direction to our analytics business, yes, absolutely, and something that the consumers would know eCraft from. So I don't know if that was that valuable, but what we thought that was valuable was all of the data that we would be gathering and all of the models that we could create based on all this data, and we thought that will be very valuable in the future. So basically, the thought leadership, yeah, that kind of worked out, and we actually got some money out of it and sold the IP, but still, I mean, it was nowhere near the cost of the product development that we had been doing. When we were selling the company, this probably did affect the valuation a bit, because it's always good to hear companies have big thoughts and dreams and whatnot. So we did use it for that, and also once again showed our own people what can be done with something that somebody else knows in the organization. Then the last one of my examples was all kinds of templates that we have now been doing, and I would say that this is something that is ongoing in the company all the time. So we kind of are thinking that you know, not maybe create products. License revenue would be, or something similar would be nice. Let's not call them products, because then we need to, you know, make sure that they always work and that kind of things. And these are honestly more like enablers of our projects and that kind of things. And they are done in our business lines. I don't even know about any of them, or well, I know about some of those, but I don't know about everyone that we are doing. And they are done very much in collaboration with customers. So of course that's also one learning from the previous examples, that they were a bit done in laboratory. So we were kind of assuming that the customers would want something, and then that didn't work out that well, as you saw. So it can be whatever, usually something that has something to do with usability on top of business solutions, because business solutions are like, yeah, nobody likes to use them. And the dream here, of course, is to have that revenue that I spoke of, create repeatability, because yeah, well, let's go to the findings, because I will explain this repeatability thing a bit better with that. So yeah, ramp up projects a bit faster, and of course convince the customers of the industry knowledge, because usually the templates are done for like manufacturing industry or whatever. So it's a kind of a proof that we have been at least thinking about that. But yeah, I promised a comment about the repeatability. So and that would be the very first comment there. So I mean, it's really hard to say that we're doing any kind of proper versioning here or whatever, because we're practically still doing, you know, customer specific implementations for all of our templates. It does help to get the project you know, kicking faster, so the customers will probably see results faster and that kind of things, but it's not nowhere near a product. And of course, you know, helps us to show the customers what we are actually doing, and keeping the innovativeness in the company. And even though we are getting some revenue out of the recurring things here, it's, you know, of course not worth it. Yeah. So why do we still do this stuff? We do it for these reasons, not the revenue, not because we want to make profit. As you heard from many of my examples, creating a vision for our company is probably the most valuable thing. So products are by nature, they are readier than our very intangible professional services, of course. And it's just, you know, for new employees, for whoever, it's just really good way of showing that, you know, we do this kind of things, and here is the product. When you push that button, that kind of stuff happens. And also kind of, especially in my second example of the Go, it was like people were kind of aligning behind that one vision in the company, and that had a huge impact in our business and basically, ramped up the business in a unprecedented way. Then the second one, inspiring people, making them innovate by having more fun in their work. That's super important, and when done correctly, that actually helps. So in my first example, we kind of neglected this point. We did something with a small group of people, did not participate the whole organization, did not work. When we did the latter iterations, it was much better. It was something that was shared by the company, and all of the innovation going on in our organization. It's way of inspiring people. Finally, creating a market position, not by being a big vendor of tech, but basically just the customers feeling that we're more credible when we've poured sweat and tears into their industry and done things. So this is the reason why we do it. And of course, this, because it has actually contributed quite much into the success that we have had. So I will leave you with this slide to read about innovativeness, but I saw was it Gartner who said that 96% of the CEOs of the companies are not happy with the innovation capabilities or whatever. I'm not that surprised if you don't manage that, as many companies don't. How we do it is by having all these weird, unsuccessful journeys and adventures around product development. Cool. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Very inspiring and nice stories. But any questions? We have time for a few. How hard it was to actually then kill the products, like when you realized these are not going to work?
They actually kind of lived on after that point, because you could use them as tech demos, and we repurposed them. So parts of the components and whatnot, they lived on, and it's I would say that most of them kind of faded away. The property valuator, of course, since we kind of sold it, it was a more decisive moment. And of course, when we, in the case of Go, when Microsoft launched their version of it, it was quite specific moment when that happened. But everything else is living on. We are the product in our kind of minds it's not the user interface, or it's not the code. It's what we learned with it. So. I know it's a fuzzy answer, but
that was a good one still.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with that.
Yeah, thank you. I love this kind of stories about failures, because they are really, without failing there's no learning, and without learning there's no success. So I really enjoyed it. I don't believe in products myself at all, and I actually think that the way that we view business through products is actually limiting a lot of our ability to even see the business potential. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard your presentation in a way that you tried to develop and modify your business to products, and it really didn't work. But the valuable thing was the work in trying to, in a way, make products. So, in a way, combination of these two is actually that don't view your business through products, but learn to productize in that sense. Am I
Wow, I've never heard anyone not believing in products, but I'm kind of hearing that you're talking probably about the kind of products that I was presenting. But you are absolutely correct in everything. I have very little to actually add to that. But I suppose there was a bit of a kind of consciousness there. We didn't properly believe in all of our own plans, and the idea was that you tried to extend those kind of dreams a bit because you just wanted to push it, like if ERP implementing an ERP takes a minimum a month, even with smaller ones in our industry. We were like, why cannot it cannot be done in a week? No, it cannot be. And then we were like, no, fuck it. You need to be able to do it in 1 hour, and whatever it takes for us to get there, let's do it. And it's exactly what you said. It's about trying to do that product and that kind of stuff. So yeah.